Hello and welcome to Real Estate Wisdom, the podcast that dives deep into the intricacies of the real estate market. I'm your host, Vishal Kapoor, a licensed realtor with Century 21 Miller Real Estate Ltd. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, someone looking to relocate, or you interested in the luxury market of Oakville, I'm here to guide you through the process. My approach is solution-oriented, and I always focus on positive outcomes. Today, we are going to discuss a topic that's crucial for both landlords and tenants. Evicting tenants in Ontario, navigating the minefield of rights, regulations, and realities. So grab a cup of coffee and let's get started. The balance between protecting tenant rights and ensuring landlords can manage their properties effectively has always been delicate. However, recent trends and regulations have tipped this balance, causing significant distress among landlords, especially when dealing with non-payment of rent. Ontario's legal framework, as outlined by the Residential Tenancies Act, mandates a structured process for eviction. Ensuring tenants' rights are protected, landlords must navigate a complex legal pathway to evict a tenant, starting with issuing a formal notice and potentially culminating in a hearing before the Landlord and Tenant Board. This process is designed to prevent unlawful evictions and ensures tenants have the opportunity to rectify issues such as unpaid rent before eviction. However, this well-intentioned protection mechanism has unintended consequences for landlords. The eviction process can be lengthy and costly, leaving landlords to cover mortgage payments without rental income for extended periods. Moreover, the LTB's decision-making process, which includes considering the circumstances of each case and the potential for discriminatory relief from eviction, introduces additional uncertainty for landlords. While this discretion aims to ensure fairness, it can result in prolonged periods before a final decision is reached, during which landlords must continue to bear financial burdens without recourse. The government's role in shaping these policies is crucial. While protecting vulnerable tenants from homelessness is a noble goal, the current policies may inadvertently place an undue burden on landlords. Many of whom are small property owners, relying on rental income to sustain their livelihoods. Well, here are some common reasons for eviction in Ontario, and eviction notices have been increased. So let's talk about them. Let's talk about some common reasons for eviction in Ontario. Number one, non-payment of rent. If a tenant fails to pay rent when it is due, the landlord has grounds to evict. Number two, persistent late payment of rent. Continuously paying rent late can be a valid reason for eviction. Number three, causing damage. If a tenant causes significant damage to the property, they can be evicted. Number four, disturbing others. Significantly disturbing other tenants or neighbors can lead to eviction. Number five, illegal acts. Committing illegal acts on the property is a reason for eviction. Number six, overcrowding. If the number of occupants exceeds the standards set by the Canadian National Occupancy Standards, it can be a cause for eviction. Number seven, personal use by landlord. If the landlord or their immediate family members require the unit by their own use, they can evict the tenant. Number eight, demolition or renovation. If the landlord plans to demolish the building or undertake extensive renovations that require the unit to be vacant, they can evict the tenant. Number nine, sale of property. If the property landlord has sold the property and the new owner of the family requires the unit, eviction is possible. And number 10, tenant's behavior. If the tenant, their guest, or someone else living in the unit behaves in a way that they should not or fails to do something they should, eviction can occur. Landlord must follow the proper legal process for eviction though, which includes giving a written notice using the appropriate form from the Landlord and Tenant Board. and possibly attending a hearing if the tenant disputes the eviction. So let's talk about some strategies for landlords. To protect themselves from tenants who refuse to move out, landlords can employ several strategies, ensuring they navigate the situation legally and effectively. And here are actionable steps based on insights from various sources and from my own experience. Number one, maintain calm and rational communication. Communication is always the key. Always approach tenant issues calmly and objectively. Emotional reactions can escalate the situation. Clear, rational communication can sometimes resolve issues without further legal action. Keep detailed records. Document all interactions, notice given, and breaches of the lease by the tenant. The documentation is crucial if legal action becomes necessary. You must understand and follow legal procedures for eviction. So, familiarize yourself with Ontario's eviction laws. You must give the tenant a written notice as specified in the state's termination statute before filing an eviction lawsuit. Ensure all notices and eviction prepare a correctly written and delivered. Apply for eviction to the Landlord and Tenant Board. If the tenant does not comply with the notice to vacate, file an application with the LTB. The process includes issuing a notice to the tenant, such as Form N4 for non-payment of rent, and then filing the appropriate application form like Form L1 or L2, depending on the reason of eviction. Prepare for the hearing. If the tenant disputes an eviction, prepare your case for the LTB hearing. Include all relevant documentations and evidence of the tenant's breaches. An LTB ejector will make decision based on the evidence presented. Enforce the eviction order legally. I can't force that enough. If the LTB issues an eviction order and the tenant does not leave, do not attempt to remove the tenant yourself. In Ontario, only a sheriff can enforce an eviction order. Provide the court judgment to a local law enforcement officer who will then physically remove the tenant if necessary. In all that scenario, I would say consider hiring a property manager. If you dealing with difficult tenant is overwhelming, consider hiring a property manager. They have experience handling tenant issues, including evictions, and can navigate the legal process on your behalf. Lease agreement and screenings is such an important thing. Ensure your lease agreement is clear and detailed regarding the responsibilities and expectations of tenants. A thorough tenant screening process can help prevent issues by selecting tenants who are less likely to cause problems. By following these steps, landlords can protect themselves and their property while ensuring they comply with Ontario's legal requirements for dealing with tenants who refuse to move out. Here are the steps that landlords should follow to file a complaint against a tenant in Ontario. First, identify the issue. Clearly understand and document the issue with the tenant, whether it's non-payment of rent, property damage, or other violation of the lease agreement. Communicate with the tenant. Attempt to resolve the issue through direct communication with the tenant. This can sometimes lead to a quicker resolution without needing to escalate the matter. Review the RTA. Familiarize yourself with the RTA to ensure that your complaint is valid and that you are following the correct procedures for addressing the issue. A lot of those cases sitting over there, sometime it happens because it's not filed properly. Fourth, prepare written documentation. Document all relevant details of the complaint, including the dates, times, and descriptions of the issue. Include any communication with the tenant regarding the matter. Number 5, file a complaint with the LTB if the issue cannot be resolved directly with the tenant. You can file a complaint with the LTB. Use the appropriate form based on the nature of the complaint, such as Form N4 for non-payment of rent, there's a filing fees, but it can be waived for low-income individuals. Number 6, attend the hearing. Once your complaint is filed, a hearing date will be set. I know right now there's a long date. Some people getting in June, some people getting September, October. So prepare your case. Include all documentation and evidence of the tenant's violation. You may represent yourself or hire a legal representation. I recommend hire a paralegal for that. Enforcement. If the LTB rules in your favor, you will receive an order that can enforced, if necessary, through the court system, and this may include eviction of the tenant if applicable. It is important to note that the process can be time-consuming and requires careful preparation and documentation. Yes, you have to be very, very careful. Landlords should ensure they follow all legal requirements and procedures to avoid delays or dismissal of the complaint. Yes, if something is wrong, one date is wrong, when you file it, it can be dismissed. The timeline of filing a complaint against a tenant in Ontario at the Landlord and Tenant Board varies depending on the type of complaint. Here are some key points to remember regarding the timeline, because it's so crucial. First of all, filing an application, landlord should file the application as soon as possible after the grounds for the complaint arise. For most applications related to eviction, there is a specific deadline by which the landlord must file the application with the LTB. Number 2, after issuing a notice, if a landlord has given a tenant a notice to end the tenancy for a specific reason, example, non-payment of rent, personal use by the landlord, the application to the LTB must typically be filed no later than 30 days after the termination date specified in the notice. Number 3, documentation. When filing an application, landlords must ensure that all required documents are included, and failure to file all necessary documents or making a mistake on the form may result in the application being dismissed. LTB have every right to dismiss your application if they found something which is missing. Online filing options are there. The LTB encouraged the use of the Tribunal Ontario portal for filing certain applications, such as eviction for non-payment of rent, Form L1, or to end a tenancy and evict a tenant, Form L2. Some of the Service Ontario centers, they also accept all landlord and tenant board application in person. Other option is email and mail. Application can also be filed by email or sent by mail or courier to the LTB regional office. I think the online options is much better. I think it's you get the confirmation and everything, it's immediate. You should use that. It is important for landlord to be aware of these timelines and to file their applications within the required periods to ensure that their complaints are considered valid by the LTB. If a landlord is unsure about the specific timeline or process for the situation, they should consult the LTB's guideline or seek legal advice. I will say, even if you're so careful, you cannot do like what the legal people do. So do that. Now, one thing is you cannot just evict people like that. And if you're doing something like with a bad faith, that can be an issue. So bad faith eviction occurs when landlord issue eviction notices such as N12 or personal use, or N13 for renovations or conversions, and under false pretenses. And this type of eviction involves using legal means to evict a tenant for a reason unrelated to the stated purpose, often with the intention of raising rent prices beyond the allowable limit. So that is illegal, right? And bad faith. Common examples of bad faith evictions include landlords wanting to remove long-term tenant to make cosmetic changes and re-rent the unit at much higher rents, or vitilating against tenants who have raised maintenance and repair issues. Well, to prove a bad faith eviction in Ontario, tenants can gather evidence such as rental listings, sales listings, proof that proposed occupant has another home, or any other evidence that contradicts the landlord's stated intentions. If tenants suspect that they are facing a bad faith eviction, they can wait for a hearing with the landlord and LTB before moving out, as they have the right to contest the eviction notice. Tenants have a lot of rights. A landlord, not so much so. There's only a few things which you can do to evict the tenant. At the hearing, tenants can present their evidence to demonstrate that the eviction was done in bad faith. And if a bad faith eviction is proven, tenants may be awarded to compensation to cover moving expenses, any difference in rent prices, and even they can file something like which caused them issue, like or more expenses. However, despite the potential for significant fines for bad faith eviction in Ontario, recent reports indicate that the fines issued by the LTB has often been relatively low compared to the maximum allowed. In Ontario, the fines for unlawful eviction can vary significantly, but they often fall below the maximum limits set by the RTA, Residential Tenancies Act. The Act allows for fines up to $50,000 for individual landlords found guilty of bad faith eviction. And despite this, the actual fines imposed tend to much lower, with most legal eviction fines being less than 1 month's rent from January 2020 to the end of September 2023. The Landlord-Tenant Board issued only 13 fines for bad faith evictions, with most of these fines amounting to less than $3,000 per landlord. So, discrepancy is everywhere. It's not only that landlord getting fined. 2 fines were issued for $5,000, another 2 were fined in $10,000, and this is in a stark contrast to the potential maximum, highlighting a discrepancy between the legal framework's intentions and its practical enforcement. The NDP, Democrats, and tenant advocates have criticized that the low frequency and amount of these fines, arguing that they do not provide a sufficient deterrent against unlawful evictions. Well, they don't have full task force to enforce these ones over here. So the fines, often ranging from $1,000 to $2,000, are considered inadequate, especially in Toronto's higher rents market. And this situation is compounded by the fact that the enforcement of these fines is rare, with only a small number of landlords actually being penalized for illegal evictions. So now you can understand, like, it's not only landlord who is the problem, tenants can have a full play as well. Furthermore, a bill passed in June aims to double the maximum fines for bad faith evictions to $100,000, indicating a legislative intent to strengthen penalties against unlawful evictions. However, the effectiveness of these measures will depend on its implementation and enforcement. A lot of things like they cannot even enforce. So in summary, while Ontario's legal framework provides for significant fines against landlords who unlawfully evict tenants, the actual fines imposed are often much lower than the maximum allowed, which is raising concern about the adequacy of these penalties as a deterrent. So, as we wrapped up today's episode, it is clear that landlord-tenant relations in Ontario are complex and multifaceted. Protecting tenants' rights is essential, but so is ensuring landlords can effectively manage their properties and address non-payment of rent without facing prohibitive obstacles. As we move forward, it's imperative for policymakers to consider reforms that address these issues, ensuring there's fairness and sustainability for all parties involved in the rental market. I hope today's discussion has provided you with some valuable insights into the challenges and strategies surrounding eviction in Ontario. Now, I have one special announcement to make. As a community, we have the power to make a significant impact in the lives of children with physical disabilities. And this year, I am proud to participate in Dancing with Easter Seal Stars, an initiative that not only showcase talent, but also serve as a noble cause supporting Easter Seals Ontario in its mission to empower children with physical disabilities. And I will need your support. So, why your support matters? Well, every child possesses the potential to become a best version of themselves. However, realizing this potential often requires the right environment, opportunities, and support system. And Easter Seals Ontario has been at the forefront of providing these essential resources, ensuring that physical disabilities do not stand in the way of child's dreams and operations. Also, like dreams and aspirations, I mean to say. Well, your donation, no matter the size, can make a profound difference. Here's how. Well, if you contribute $20, $20 contributes towards a vote for me and my partner, directly supporting our fundraising efforts. $500 can provide a new walker, enhancing a child's mobility. $1,000 can fund the installation of ramp, making spaces more accessible. $2,400 cover an 8-day session at Easter Seals fully accessible summer camps, offering unforgettable experience and growth opportunities for these kids. So our pledge, in solidarity with Easter Seals Ontario, we pledge to advocate for the needs and interest of children and youth with physical disabilities. So support families in accessing essential mobility and accessibility equipment, promote includes specialized recreational programming through Easter Seals, fully accessible camps, empowers children with physical disabilities to achieve their dreams and live their lives to the fullest. How you can help? Well, join us in the journey of empowerment and inclusion. Your donation not only support a child's immediate needs, but also invest in their future, enabling them to overcome barriers and reach new heights. Together, we can ensure that every child with a physical disability has the opportunity to thrive. So, make your pledge today. I know I get a little emotional when I hear this and I see those kids. But your support can alter the course of a life. So let's unite to provide children with the tools they need to succeed. Donate now and help us change lives one step at a time. Click the link below and you can donate from there. Well, thank you for your generosity and belief in the potential of every child. Together we are making a difference. And this pledge is inspired by the mission and vision of Easter Seals Ontario, as detailed on their official website and related resources. So your contribution signifies more than just a donation. It's a commitment to fostering a world where children with physical disabilities can live without limits. Thank you for joining me on Real Estate Wisdom Podcast. I'm Vishal Kapoor, and I look forward to sharing more knowledge and insights with you in our next episode. Until then, stay informed and keep striving for positive outcomes in all your real estate endeavors and in life. Goodbye for now. Disclaimer: the information provided in this podcast is for informational purpose only and should not be considered as financial or investment advice. Consult with your professional before making any real estate decisions.